My sense is that there's a lot of discomfort still with democracy. And, you know, whether it's outside powers or established interests within these countries, you had a very long period of somewhat repressive, top-down, forced secularism. And that meant that you had to essentially limit political participation if you didn't want to have religion introduced into politics. So it's natural that when you open these floodgates to political participation, that there be a kind of swing of the pendulum back towards the way life was essentially in the early 20th century, which was not to say that it was, you know, these were Islamic entities, they were under various imperial rule, but religion was a part of life. And, you know, the first half of the 20th century, or between the First First World War and the 1950s, there was simply a denial of this religious reality. And that was because these states were concentrating on modernization, they were concentrating on rationalization, centralization, they were creating the apparatus of the state. And religion, frankly, was seen as a reactionary and traditionalist force that held that back. But, you know, the truth is you need both, right? You can't just wish a secular population into existence. And in fact, you very well, they've discovered that the more you deny the religiosity of people, the more it becomes a political issue, right? And so, ironically, even though the intention is to keep religion out of politics, if you don't have enough of it, you wind up creating incentives for political parties to form around these issues. Now, that's not so different from La Democrazia Cristiana, the Christian Democrats in Italy or even in Germany. If you look at the way that they formed, they often formed in reaction to anti-clericalism from the state. And so the idea of removing, you know, say the Bible or the Quran, or replacing it with the rule of law is, of course, quite, you know, it makes a lot of sense. But it has to be done in such a way that it doesn't create a counterproductive movement. There's very little time for reflection about these issues. The time is, like in the Tunisian case, during the composition of the constitution. But, you know, in regular electoral season, these things just become political footballs. And there's not a great deal of thought that goes into, well, how do we integrate the cultural and religious traditions of our country with our desire to be modern and to participate in the global economy and to participate in the international community. You know, it's of course far, far too soon to make any assessment about this. We are in very, very early days. And, you know, imagine trying to judge the French Revolution in the late 1790s. You know, even in the early 20th century, there are people who were saying it was still too soon to know what the effects of the French Revolution were. So I would urge patience.